Scenario 3, using all basic advanced rules, and the optional rules as listed below. We're on fire phase, and we will continue. So now we have initiative. And again, I'm doing things a little bit differently. I do initiative roll at the beginning of the turn, and that determines who gets first initiative in indirect fire and fire phase, and who moves first in the movement phase, which is always the one who lost the initiative. NATO wins the initiative. Here I'm checking, it's going to be one of the Abrams firing at one of the Soviet tanks. So here we got a short range, +1 to the veteran unit, +2 to laser sight. So 91 to hit, and I have 2 tanks over there. First one's a hit. Location damage check is 40. Turret hit, turret front hit, penetration 96. Armor is 95, but we're using variable penetration. Now I only rolled 1 die for this variable penetration according to the rules. You're supposed to roll 2 dice, but I changed that later. -8 penetrations. So the new penetration is 88 armor, is 95, and the shot bounces off, so that's a miss. Next shot, 17's a hit. Penetration adjust is 7. Boost the penetration to 99. Location damage roll. Current armor is 95. Penetration is +4. And here's a misclick. Go forward. All right, so turret front hit. The armor is 95. The penetration is 99. And here I just clean up some markers. And that was a KO actually. So actually, it's 99 is better than 95. And I just took off the fire marker from that unit because it already, both units in there fired. That of course was a hit and a KO. Okay, so now we're going to come back to the initiative roll. Okay, I apologize for that. I hit pause and I did hit continue again. So I don't know where we left off. I'll just cover everything that happened from the beginning of this section. These 3 tanks right here fired against the Bradley and the squad. 2 tanks fired against the Bradley, 1 tank fired against the squad. Fire against the squad was ineffective. Well, fire against the squad didn't have the ammo availability. Now, it still should have shot. All right. If you fail an ammo availability dice roll in Panzer, you still shoot. You can still shoot, but there's just a penalty. But they had 2 shots, but the 2 shots against the Bradley, 1 knocked it out, 1 was just a turret hit, so it knocked out the Bradley. And we're moving on. Also, we had some fire over here. A couple shots against this, KO'd the tank. A couple shots against this, damaged the tank, but then the crew bailed out. Now we're moving on to the movement phase. So this right here would have been automatically spotted. I have too many units trying to locate it, so I didn't need to do that spot roll. So next initiative. So now the Soviets. Now I do initiative. The initiatives alternate in the moving in the direct fire phase, except for the very first move or fire direct fire, indirect fire. So I do a lot of initiatives. NATO wins initiative, Soviets move. And that right there, you see a tank moving over there. And I just deleted the Bradley for some reason. There was a Bradley there. So you just saw a tank move from the 2nd platoon. Here comes another tank. And I'm just making adjustments to that tank. That's the headquarters tank. Now I want to see, okay, so that tank moved to right there. Now we do initiative, see who moves next. NATO, Soviets won, NATO has to do their move. So what I did, I was wondering why I moved the Bradley. I moved the Bradley from here to here. So the Bradley was here. See the Bradley was here. I turned and moved it over there. That's all I did. Just so it can fire. Otherwise, it would have taken a while for it to get some to fire at. Okay. And I'm just adjusting the facing. So I have to see if it's spotted. At this point, it has how many units looking at? 1, 2, 3, 4. It has at least 4 units. It should be spotted. And it was moving too, so just checking the range. Moving target, light cover, maximum range 30. Range 15 over there. Range 16 over there. So there's plenty of units looking at it. See, I said 99 or less spots. It was an automatic spot. I'm going to change that to automatic spot, 45. I think that's what the rules would say too. So it is spotted, of course. Next initiative, NATO wins, Soviet moves. Is that, what tank is that? Let's see, that is the headquarters tank. That's a tank that I desperately want to protect. And over here, I'm just checking angles and things like that. And nobody can fire on it, so I left it there. I think what I did, I was moving it from this hex back here, and I want to move it into these woods right here. And it was spotted, but I didn't have anybody in Overwatch, so I didn't fire on it. And over here you see my heavy artillery over there, moving up. See, that's a good hex for the heavy artillery because there's a brew up smoke over there, so it's not considered a clear hex. This is just for spotting purposes. And it is spotted. Right, so all three, there were 3 vehicles. I did 1 spot for each vehicle. Another initiative. NATO wins, Soviet moves. Now, you notice up north, there's a bunch of units going over that hill. They're getting into position to fire. I don't need the turret markers because front facing is because you want the front toward the enemy. So, and I'm just checking them for spotting. So moving tanks, maximum range 30. So that was about finding the maximum spotting range, which was 30. Now, half of 30 is 15, and 12, which is its range, is less than 15, so that makes it easier to spot. This is closer. So it's basically an auto spot. Both of those tanks were spotted. Now I check for the other tank, and it was spotted. NATO wins, Soviet moves. And I moved when that tank right there, I believe it was a lone wolf. No, I moved my second platoon right over there. The rest of my second platoon tanks. That should have been auto spotted. All right. So NATO won, Soviet moves. NATO has the most moves here. I want to go back. So where did I just move? Okay, I moved somebody back here. Can I go back without destroying myself? Go forward, forward. All right. And you have more Soviet units moving here. Another initiative. NATO and Soviet moves. Now, right there was an overrun. Right. So the units started from the bottom of the hill over here, and they went up the hill and they overran the remaining section. So it's 3 tanks overrunning 1 section in open ground. They were suppressed, so each tank is a separate overrun. When you do an overrun, all general purpose weapons on the tank fire at point blank range, with the exception of AA, anti-aircraft. In this case, it's an 8 GP firepower attack. The American leg unit is in the open, but with full cover, so it's going to be an 8-4. It's plus 20, because it has a coaxial machine. An overrun is plus 20. Coaxial machine gun is plus 10, because there's a box around the GP value. Roll a 95, so 36 suppresses, 69 or above is casualty reduction. That's plus 30 diral modifier, so unit is eliminated. Kind of hard to survive an overrun like that. Okay. So the last move left is a NATO move. We'll go down here. What's going to happen? These infantry units are going to jump on the back of the Bradley, and the Bradley is going to take off. And there you go. They jumped aboard the Bradley, and the Bradley took off. And that's it. Movement's done. Now we'll just move the remaining command markers. I'm checking everything for full cover. Now it's full cover. And I believe I'm putting the Soviet infantry in the woods into full cover, because remember, the Soviet infantry in the woods, in this area, they're just covering the left of the main column, so to speak. And that is full cover. Just now, turret adjust. Making sure the turrets are on the right vehicles. I corrected the tank error placement in F8 right here. And that's it for turn 3. Turn 4. Okay, so beginning from where we left off, we're on turn 4. Spotting phase or remove spot phase, as the case may be. Spot removal. So here's why officially I say 100 or less, the unit is automatically spotted or has its spot removed. Spotting there, spotting there. We're doing spot removal. Let's see if that unit that's in that light woods, if those 2 units can have their spots removed. 10 or less Toulouse spots for each tank. 4 units in line of sight. Light cover, less than half the max spotting range. Nope, no. So those 2 units there in those light woods were still spotted. Checking for spot removal over here. Again, these tanks need 10, and they're still spotted. Now going in the other direction, are my units in the town spotted, or the NATO units in the town spotted. And they actually have 5 units. American tanks in the town cannot leave spot because they have too many eyes on. So no units have enemy line of sight to that tank right there, 3R5. So that can't, so that's not spotted to begin with. Right there. So this is an actual spotting attempt to spot. Medium cover, not moving or firing in range is 13, not spotted. Now command phase. Determine available commands. Americans have once again 5 commands, and the Soviets have 18 commands because they have 30 units. That Bradley, of course, is going to get a move command. Again, I'm going to do the whole indirect fire thing. I have this unit in Overwatch. And I have my, no, it's not the Bradley I want. Well, I put the Bradley in fire mode. Those tanks are in fire mode. And finally, that right there is the mortar unit. That's also in fire mode. So all my units that are on, they're on the east facing side of town, all have fire commands. And the unit that's hidden from the enemy can do indirect fire, so there's a fire command, and the recon unit at the top of the hill has an Overwatch command, so it can direct the indirect fire. He's still doing his job, looking around. Those tanks that previously overrun are going to drive down the mountain and try to fire on the Americans. Of course, the ones that are already facing the Americans have fire. Now, I'm having all the Soviets over here. It's just a gun duel. I have 4 American tanks in the Brad against all those Soviet tanks. And that right there is where I'm moving the headquarters unit into the woods. Overwatch, I'm moving the tank units up to the front, and I'm moving that motorized rifle closer to the front. And the units that are in cover, I'm just giving them Overwatch, and that's the command phase. Okay, so the CHQ right there, that's the command tank for the Soviets. It's in the initiative phase, so they're going to try to use their smoke dispenser near 5 or less, and 4. So smoke is going to be placed, and this smoke is only effective against that particular unit. So smoke will be placed on the headquarters unit. So when it starts to move, you can fire at it, but it's going to have that smoke, which is significant. NATO wins initiative. Now this is another example of indirect fire. So the recon unit, which has Overwatch fire, has line of sight to the soft skin unit, the BMP2. So now first I have to see if it's, I have to make sure that you're spotted. So it's maximum range, so it's within the maximum range, it's +1 recon unit. And the maximum range is 30. So it'll be a little bit easier to spot. And it is spotted, so now I can fire at it. Range of 9 from the spotting unit. Range of 16 from the firing unit, medium range. it'll be veteran grade, because it's veteran grade at medium range, is a +2 modifier. A 60 to hit, need 6 or greater for availability. Now, the only thing significant here is the medium range, because that determines the number of, because GP factors, GP offense factors, and that's 6 or greater for availability. Because there is no, because that +2 to the 2, that would be to an armor piercing 2 hit roll. So there's actually another modifier, and I believe it's a +10 modifier to the GP effect dice roll. You have, for armor, kinetic energy armor, you have a 2 hit roll, and you have an effect, and you have a location damage roll. You also have a penetration roll. For GP fire, general purpose fire, you have 1 roll. That's the GP effect roll. And that can be modified. So I need 6 or greater for availability. It is available. Now the reason it was available, there's +1 to, I didn't put that down, but there's +1 to recon. So I needed 5 or less, actually. Okay. So the range of medium will be 3. And the defense will be 1, it'll be 3 to 1. Now it's an indirect fire against the armored target type. It's a -20 die roll modifier. Veteran firing, there's your veteran firing, +5 die roll modifier. So the net's going to be a -15 die roll modifier. Greater than 42 it's suppressed, greater than 69 is effective. You have a die roll modifier too. No effect. Okay. Moving right on. 4. So I don't see another V-log here. Okay, I just noticed I paused it again without restarting it. So let me just review what happened. After this we're on turn 4, after the spotting removal and spotting phase, when an indirect fire attack. This recon unit spotted a soft skin vehicle in this area. It was right now, well, it's brew up, but before it was a BMP2. And then I did indirect fire against it. The spotting unit was able to get an indirect fire response. Let me go up. I'll show you the numbers. All right. So then you roll for indirect fire response. So GP bombs come down in that area. The GP offense is 3. The GP defense is 1. So I go to this chart. Here, 3-1. So 42 or above, it is suppressed. 69 or above, it is effective, possibly effective. But the die because it's an armored vehicle, armor type. Target acquisition 5 because I fired at last turn, although I don't think that counts. All right, and unit quality 5. So I did a 10, and 93 minus 10 is 83, which is greater than 69. Even if I didn't have that TA there, it still would have been effective fire. Now you notice my final attack die roll is a 3, the number right there. So it's not a multiple of 10, it's not a multiple of 5. That's important. I'll go over here. Non-small arms, GP defensive fire versus an armored vehicle. Wasn't suppressed. You have to see if the fire was effective. So for GP indirect fire, it's effective against GP defense 1 through 5. So its maximum GP effectiveness is 5. And that beats the 1. So it is effective fire. Over here, you're looking to see if the effective number results in 5. It doesn't. If the effective number ends in 10, it doesn't. So now you roll 10-sided dice. If equal to or less than the shooter's maximum GP effectiveness factor, it's going to be brew up. Otherwise, it's damaged. I rolled a 2, which is under 5. So that caused this unit right here to explode and brew up. Okay, that's it for turn 4. We're at 25 minutes, and I want to keep my turn time, my video time limited. Thank you very much.